What's up, y'all? This is your boy RBK Roy. I'm with you here this evening. And I am going to be talking about the challenges of communal living. So, what is communal living? Communal living is living with other people. Simple as that, whether it's friends, families, whether you're couch surfing, whether you're out of town and staying with somebody in the Airbnb. Communal living is living with anyone else other than yourself. Introduction to communal living, the reality of it. Okay. I was an only child. I grew up as an only child. I didn't have to share things. I was adopted as an only child. So it was me, my, myself, and I. Me, my, mine's. That was it across the board. When I did have to share, when my cousins came over, when I went over their house and I had to share, I shared. I did what I had to do. When they made me mad, I simply set the item down and left the room. And that was just it because I'm not doing it and I don't have to do and I'm just not going to do. That's always been me 10 toes down since I was a little boy. And I still do it today. At the end of the day, I don't take attachment to a material good because at the end of the day it can be replaced. The life is more important. Overview of different settings, communal living settings. This would be sober living, your residential, so your halfway houses, your transitional living spaces, and your group homes. Brief discussion of shared spaces, diverse occupants, and unique dynamics. Like I said, when I grew up as a kid, I didn't have to share. But by the time I went off to college when I was 18, I had to learn how to share and live with different personalities, different people that were not as clean as I was, that might have been messy, that were just been laissez faire about, kind of how they kept things when I was OCD and type A. And I just had to really learn really quick how to mix with the unlivable. I also lived with my cousin when we were 18, prior to me going to school. That kind of got me into that shared living mindset. And, it wasn't a big deal by the time that I got to college. Specific challenges in communal living environments, boundaries and personal space is a big one. There's going to be difficulties establishing and respecting boundaries, but it's important that you do so. Once it's understood, hey, this is my stuff, this is where you are not supposed to be. Items with my name on it is not yours. I think it's pretty much a no-brainer at that point. Don't touch it if it's not yours. Strategies for communicating boundaries effectively. You have to have a communication about something that might be wrong or have gone wrong, and you straighten it out that first time. After it comes to a conversation that first time, there should not be any other issues after that point. However, if there is, you need to take that up with your house manager leads, uh, your case manager, or just whoever you have in that space that might be a peer support, that may be able to help you mediate through that issue, so that you don't have to come to head or war with the other individual about the item or the experience. um, Theft and tampering with belongings. This is a big one. Obviously, you should know, as well as I know, that anything worth having requires much work. Anything worth stealing requires the time that you will pay for the charge and the crime that you committed. So just be prepared and do know that the choices you make should ultimately prepare you for the world that you want to live in. So you steal anything of mine, I'm not gonna trip about it. I'm just gonna pull my Karen card and I'm gonna prosecute you to the furthest extent of the law. And you will pay that charge and that ticket. Somebody else might just beat your ass about it. So just don't find yourself on the other side of a negative situation because you did not want to just simply respect someone else's item. Common issues in these type of living environments are theft, tampering, misusing residents' belongings. I can't tell you how many countless times I did live in shared living spaces in college, and my items were either messed with, just outright used, or taken. I can remember like one time specifically, me and this one guy uh, had stayed together, and he just like outright took my item, and it was over there sitting on his desk, and I'm just like to myself, like I know that nigga know that's mine. What's going on here? So I ain't say nothing about it. I just, you know, shrugged it off. But at the end of the day, had he did it again, then it would have been my problem for not correcting that in the first place. And that is what I mean when you have issues like that or you see something wrong, you need to have a conversation about it the first time so that it doesn't continue to boil over and then come to a head and then there's a big blowout about it. Tips for safeguarding your personal property: get your locks, get your padlocks, get your bicycle locks, whatever locks. There's so many locks, so many trends to get universal locks that you can get for stuff. Lock it up. I know it sounds crazy and you shouldn't have to do it, but people shouldn't have to lock their car doors. But we know that there's people that walk around communities and go in people's cars. People shouldn't have to put safety anti-device kits on their cars, but we know that there's people that go around the community and steal cars. Like people shouldn't have to lock their houses and put security cameras on them. But we know that people go around the communities and break in houses. So it's just like, come on. Like at this point, it's as simple as if you want it, take the time to put the assurance behind it and protect it, period. And when it's taken, prosecute that ass. Addressing grievances, communication, house rules, and conflict resolution. So I've had different grievances and situations, obviously, in the living spaces that I've lived in. Whenever I had an issue in college, I had to tell my RA. I had to go to my RA, my resident advisor, and tell my RA what was going on. So then my RA would be the mediator between me and the other individual about the situation. And he would try to figure it out, or she would try to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? We'll sit down, we'll have a little kumbaya session at the end of the day. And if hopefully a solution was arrived to, we would be good. If it was not, then there may have been, some steps that would need to be taken further, whether it would need to be taken up the chain to the housing director, and there needed to be maybe a room assignment change, or whether there needed to be behavioral contract for somebody to be placed on, so that it does not happen again, and then it could be monitored throughout that time until the next semester, and then it'll fall off. Challenges unique to different housing types. As I told you, the different housing types are sober living, we have residential halfway houses, and then we have transitional living group homes. So let's talk about sober living homes for a minute. Sober living homes, these are typically for maintaining sobriety amidst triggers and temptations. You'll be dealing with relapse or non-compliance among other housemates. Some of the pros are that it offers and fosters a supportive community and holds individuals accountable. Some of the cons are the peer pressure that comes with it and the lack of strict oversight. Like here at our house, we're like a level two home, so our housing manager is here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. or 4:30 p.m. Sometimes five, depending on the situation or context. And on the weekends, they don't work. So on the weekends, we have a lot more leniency when it comes to, going out in the community, doing what we want to do. But at the end of the day, we know there's 2 days that we have to come, do our drops, and we better be clean, or you know, there might be some challenges or some consequences that come with that. I personally have not been in that lane or that seat of having to deal with compromise or consequence because I keep my side of the street clean, keep my nose clean, I keep myself out of stuff, and I'm trying to get off probation in September. So I don't give nobody to go off with anything on with me. But if I were another type of individual, then I probably would be in another treatment facility. This is probably my third treatment facility. I started a fresh start in dating back in 2023. I moved to, um, I graduated from Emerge Trade Recovery Initiatives in November. That was court order. And then I've done Clearview treatment in Dayton, and now I'm here at Gates's house. So this is actually my fourth. But there's been different experiences. I had gone through some very, very trying times and challenges at others, but it's landed me at a better place today, and I'm doing a lot better. Next is residential halfway houses. So residential halfway houses, these are the transitional challenges from rehab into independent living. So if the individual has never lived in an independent living or lived on their own outside of living with their parents or their family, this is a new experience for them because they're essentially going to have to start learning to live with others. Balancing independence with supervision. They've never had to deal with anybody outside of their family having maybe some few griefs or gripes or moans about kind of how they live. They've never had to have somebody tell them how to live. So this is a different experience when you have to have someone telling you how to live, how to get up and how to go down every day, what it needs to be in between. This no, we don't like being told what to do as addicts. And in general, in individuals in life, we just don't like to be told what to do. So that's a big turn. And I would definitely say with that, if you have sponsorship and have seek sponsorship, then talk to your sponsor about a lot of that transitional pivot throughout the experience is going to be profound and life changing for you when it comes to being able to respect authority and being able to have supervision and understanding that supervision and monitoring whether it's with probation or just within the your living environment, what that will come to be and how it will come to best help you and help you to change to become a better person. Pros, some of the pros in transitional living or residential halfway houses are structure and peer support. Some of the cons will be limited privacy and strict rules. Okay, so again, in these environments, there's not always somebody here 24/7 to monitor you. I mean, we're not kids. At the end of the day, we're grown ass individuals, but we don't always act like grown ass individuals. Because again, a lot of individuals too that come and live in these type of facilities, they have about a third grade education. And they come with different learning as well as developmental disabilities. And that is known for a fact, whether it's autism or whether they literally just have never had a clear insight on structure. This is new for them. So we have to keep that in mind. Have to had to constantly work with myself on that, especially when it came to the cleaning. Because I've always been somebody who's just been clean. I was raised to be clean. My granny was clean. My mama was clean. I was taught to be clean. I even hopped out the bed off the porch at 5 years old, cleaning my own room without having to be told. So I just expected that everybody else should have known that. And I had to learn through life that it just was not that easy. Transitional living in group homes, adjusting to communal routines and managing conflicts with diverse residents. This is going to be in any transitional living space, whether you are a teenager going into your own apartment from a group home setting, whether you are an adult going from a halfway house into your own independent living environment and for your personal apartment. You are going to have to find an adjustment and a balance in between. And you are going to have to manage the conflicts that come with different residents, diverse residents living in the environment. You're not going to always have respectful individuals that don't know how to play their radios at a normal level or volume after hours. 10 o'clock is typically in communal spaces, quiet time, but that's not always upheld. And when you are living in the projects, that does not apply. So you just have to kind of know based on the phase that you're in, what you're working with, and you have to work it. However, you need to work it to be able to survive. Now, I will say, The last time I was living in a communal space with family, we had to almost go to